Let's welcome our television audience today. Thank you for tuning in. I'm reading from John chapter number 2, and I want to begin reading in verse number 1. The third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother saith unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone. And that was after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firklings apiece. Jesus said unto them, Fill the water pots with water, and they filled them up to the brim. And he said unto them, Draw out now and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. And when the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it came, but the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and this is what he said to him. Every man at the beginning does set forth good wine, which means at the beginning of the festivities there was wine. And when men have well drunk, then that which is worse or not as good, Mogan David, stuff like that. But thou hast kept good wine until last, or until now. I want to preach today on the subject, whatever happened to the wine? Whatever happened to the wine? I believe to give a balanced description of my thought today, I must define what wine is in the Scriptures. First, I want to talk about the fruit of wine. This is an unfermented juice that is extracted from grapes. It's pure, and there's nothing added to it. That's called wine in the Bible. Fruit of the vine, or what we would call today simply grape juice. But then there's the fermentation of the wine. In the Bible days, they would add leaven. In our days, we add sugar, which allows that pure, non-intoxicating fruit to become moved into an alcohol-based beverage that yields the result of intoxication if ingested. Now we get into the age-long debate. I know some are listening today would say, well, that's why I drink wine. Jesus drank wine. Well, he wore a robe and sandals and rode a jackass. Why don't you try doing that for a while? Why is it the only thing you can do like Jesus is drink wine? Now, once and for all, I want to prove to you that Jesus never touched fermented wine. When Jesus had the grape juice at the Last Supper, you understand it was the time of the Passover. Go back to the Passover in the book of Exodus. You will find that when the Passover was taking place, they were not only not allowed to have fermented wine, but the leaven that made it fermented could not even be in their house. They had to totally extract that out of their house, because leaven in the Bible is a type of sin. And while they were observing the Passover, recognizing Jesus Christ as the sacrifice, had they had leaven in their home or in what they drank, they were typified saying Jesus was a sinner. So Jesus never did partake of an alcoholic beverage. He would never condemn something in the Old Testament and then practice it himself in the New Testament. So please don't come up to me. If you want to drink wine, that's your business. You're not going to be a member of this church and do it, but you can drink all the wine you want, and that is none of my business. But please don't come telling me Jesus drank wine. Number 3, the finding of the wine. There are areas of our lives, typically speaking, where the presence of wine is very important in order for us as believers to function in the power of the Spirit. You see, when you look at wine in the Bible, it has so many typologies of the New Testament Christian life that many don't understand. Let me illustrate. When we think about wine, we think about productivity. We think about being fruitful. Does not God command all of us to be fruitful in our life? I understand some are 30-fold, some are 60, and some are 100. But all born-again believers ought to be producing some kind of spiritual fruit in their life. Did you know one grapevine can produce 50 clusters of grapes in one season? That's over 25 pounds of grapes can come off of one vine. And the Bible says Jesus is the vine and we are the branches. So if we're really grafted into Jesus, there ought to be something produced in our life every once in a while that would manifest the truth and the fact that God lives in us and we live in God. Therefore, we produce the fruit of the Spirit in our lives. So wine is meant to talk about productivity. It's also talking about perseverance. We are living in a day when people quit everything over absolutely nothing. But see, the grape and the wine is an illustration of perseverance, and here's why. You cannot enjoy the juice until first you break the skin, which is a type of the flesh. In the Old Testament, they had a vat. The top one was about 4 foot square, and the bottom one was 2 foot square, and it had a drain in the middle of it. And men would fill that up with grapes, wash their feet and their legs, and it was called a wine press. And they would stand up in that wine press, and they would stop them grapes, because they knew the only way to get the juice, the only way to get the fruit, the only way to get the blessing is that shell, that skin, that flesh had to be broken. That's why in Jesus, if we're ever going to be a blessing to anybody else, if we're ever going to be filled with the Spirit, we've got to allow God to crush us. He must break us. We must deny our flesh so that in order we can be a blessing to somebody else. I hope I'm making sense. It also deals with prosperity. All through the Bible, even the wicked men of the Bible, they use the fruit of the vine in a celebration of a profitable investment. In other words, the grape juice was brought out to say things are better now than they used to be. I've got more now than I used to have. I got a brighter future than I do a past. See, when you get saved, things are better now than they used to be. When you really get in Jesus, things are brighter now than they used to be. When you really get saved, you're happier now than you used to be. See, that's talking about enjoying prosperity in Jesus. Did you know the grape juice is important to also symbolize praise? You remember when Jesus had the Last Supper in the upper room? It was the grape juice that Jesus took at the time of the Passover and said to his men, "This is my blood, which is shed for you. Do this in remembrance of me." See, when we come together and you see us shout, it's not because we're perfect. It's not even because we're worthy. We're here because we remember that through his broken body and his shed blood on the cross, it makes us worthy in the sight of the Father. Because we have been cleansed by his blood, born again by the Holy Ghost, and set for heaven, and sealed until the day of redemption. And because of that, it brings praise into our life. Now, how visible and how powerful can praise be? If this church could go back to Acts chapter number 2, and see the early church as it was, we would realize how dead we are in the house of God. Let me tell you how excited they were in Acts chapter 2. When they all got together, brother, and they got to shouting and a leaping and a praising God, and miracles were being performed and people were being filled with the Holy Ghost, the town called the police on them. And you know what they said to them? They're drunk on new wine. They accused them. They were so happy in Jesus that people actually thought they were drunk. Now, some of you are going to snore your nose, but I'm going to say it anyhow. I've been saved long enough to remember when Granny used to shout till her hairpins fell down at her feet. Her little cotton dress was soaking wet. Her silk hanky was waving in the air. I've seen old Miss Blagg shout till she fell in the pew, and they fanned her with a songbook. If some of you saw that, you'd have a nervous breakdown. I'd get into glory once in a while, and your heart pacer goes off. You'd have had a fit 47 years ago if you'd have seen the church, how it acted when I got saved. But we've become sophisticated. We've become spoiled. We've become dead. We've become very proud. We don't want anybody looking. What will people say if I raise my hands? I got to hold back the tears. I would never stand up and clap. I would never say hallelujah. I would never dance down the aisle. I would never lift my hands and expose myself to that kind of, well, you help yourself. Maybe that's why God lets me do it, because he knows you're not going to do it. But I tell you, as long as I'm pastor here, that will always be in order. You can stand, you can shout, you can wave your hand, you can dance down the aisles. Brother Ron, I've been in church when 20 women were dancing down the aisle wide open and shouting so loud you couldn't hear what the preacher said. I was preaching a couple of weeks ago in a meeting, and I wanted to bring that lady home so bad. There's a black woman sitting in the back of the church, had her hair up, had a hanky over it. And she's a very big old lady. She's backward and quiet, sitting back there by herself. And it got on in that service. This was just a week or two ago. It got on during that service, and Brother Guy, I looked back there, and she's on her feet, dancing like only they can. And I thought, brother, it's about to get on in the house. And I knew some of them dead heads were going to have a fit. It wasn't but just a minute, Brother Nacho. I seen her make her way to the center aisle. I said, business about to pick up. She come down that aisle a dancing and a weaving. And some of them people were grabbing their hearts, giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And from out of nowhere, Brother Jody, she pulled a tambourine out of her dress. And she's dancing around with a tambourine. You know what I did? I got the dancing with her around the tambourine. I tell you, I want to bring that kind of stuff to this house. That's the kind of church I want to pastor. I want people that are not ashamed to give glory to the one that paid the price to keep you out of hell. So what are the areas of our lives that feed off and expand when we fulfill the list that we need of wine in our lives? Let me give you a couple places we need the peace, we need the filling, we need the enjoyment. Let me mention them to you. Number one, what happened to the wine in your heart? Where's it at? Wine is a type of joy and peace and rest and comfort. The Bible said in Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse number 10, the joy, the wine of the Lord is our strength. The devil knows if he can get the wine and the joy and the peace and the comfort and the rest out of your heart, we become weak, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. In Psalms chapter number 51, when David had got away from God and he's now repenting and he's coming back, this is what he said to God: I want my wine back. I've lost my joy and my peace and my rest. I want my wine back. Where did he say that in Psalms 51? Here's what he said. He lifted up his voice and said, restore unto me the joy of thy salvation. I've lost the wine in my heart. In my own private life, I've let things affect me and drain me. We as God's people, when we dry up and show no joy, no worship, and no praise, now I know something is happening that's not right. In the Pentecostal church, every time they had a revival, there's a man that had come to the altar. The only time he come to church and the only time he went to the altar was during a revival. And there's a little old toe-headed boy that always said out loud what he should have been thinking in private. And we got a couple here. Trust me, we got a couple here. Every church needs one of them. So every time they'd have a revival, the old man would show up and he'd go to the altar, he'd pray, and they'd never see him again. So one time during revival, the old man came forward and he got on the altar, and a little boy got beside him, and he heard the old man pray, and this is what he said: fill me up, Lord, fill me up. And the little boy praying beside him yelled out, don't do it, Lord, he leaks. I tell you why a lot of people never get filled. You leak. There's something in your heart that's not right. There are so many things that can drain our joy out of us so fast. Did you know people can get your joy and your wine away from you? The company we keep influences the direction of our life. Show me who you're running with, and I'll show you what direction your life is going in. Be careful who you make your closest acquaintance and your friendships with, because whether you know it or realize it or not, they're putting a great influence on your life. And many times I've seen people leave this church and lose their joy and seemingly all the wine of God out of their heart because of people they begin to run with. Problems can drain you of all your joy. Job said, man that is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble. I say to you young people, when you whine and talk about life being difficult, you need kicked in the seat of the britches to your nosebleeds. You don't know what difficulty is. You're living under somebody else's roof. They're paying for all your bills. They're paying for your food, your education, your clothes, your insurance. And you talk about how rough it is. Cheer up, Jack, it gets worse. Oh, these teenagers, they can't wait to get married. They know everything. 3 months later, they're calling mom and dad, help! What happened? Because we find out the older you get, the more complicated life becomes. It's a natural thing for all of us. We have people we have to deal with. We have problems we have to deal with. Then we have pressures we have to deal with. I had a man come to me 2 weeks ago in a revival meeting. And he said to me, he works for a corporate business that I'm very aware of. He said, I've been there 14 years. I've given them everything I've got, but it's never enough. No matter what goal I set and reach next week, it's got to be something greater than that. And he said, I've lived under this pressure for 14 years of my life. Just constant daily pressure at my job. And he said, I went to them the other day and said to them, if I thought about quitting, what would this company do for me or say to me? And his boss said, we would say, get out. You are nothing but a number to them. Corporate does not care about your health. They do not care about your family. They don't care if you ever own a house. They don't care if you have a nice car. They don't even care if you have food on your table. When they get everything out of you they can get, they'll drop you on the side of the road like it never happened. Now, can you imagine giving 14 years of your life and not even given a positive statement from your foremen? They just don't care. You have the pressure of your job. You have the pressure of marriage. Oh, you think marriage is all hunky-dory. You can't see past the honeymoon. You're dumber than a box of rocks. You wait till the water bill comes in. You wait till the electric bill comes in. You wait till the grocery bill comes in. It costs you $50 to walk to a grocery store if you don't put nothing in your basket. If you just go in there and smell the fruit, man, they charge you $50. Yeah. Notice only the adults are clapping because you know what I'm talking about. Man, stuff's expensive, and then you got married. You got two people raised in two different homes. You got two personalities. You're different, but when you're dating, you're so dumb. You think, we have so much in common. It's amazing what we have in common. No, you're deceived. 2 weeks after you're married, you're going to come and say, everything about us goes this way, because opposites attract until they get together, and then you realize, this dude's from another world. Then you men realize you saw her at her best, and she ain't always at her best. And then you've got to cope with a marriage while you're going to work every day, and the tire's flat, and your mother-in-law wants to come visit, and your dog's got the croup. What are you going to do then? Then you've got children that come along. You think your wife's complicated now? Wait till those little toe-headed kids get into your life. You don't know what complication is, brother. Your life of coming home to a nice, quiet house, loving on your wife and the candles burning, history. Brother Matthew, I told you you would be on the back burner the rest of your life, but he's so henpecked he won't even nod his head back there. But I told him, when you start having kids, you start going down the totem pole as far as priorities. See, none of you men will clap, nod your head, but every one of you are saying, God, he's telling it right, he's telling it right. You got kids to deal with, and they get sick, and they start school, and they got to go to school, and they're under peer pressure. Then they turn teenagers, and they want a tattoo on their eyelid and their tongue, and they want their face to look like they fell in a fish and tackle box, all kinds of stuff hanging off of them. And you just got to deal with something all the time. Then you finally get the kids raised. You get them out of your house. When my oldest daughter got married, I cried all the way down the aisle. I did. It broke my heart. I cried because the other three wasn't getting married the same day. I wanted to get rid of all of them the same day. Then all of a sudden you get the kids out of your house and you think, finally we're going to be able to relax, get out of some of this pressure. Now your mom and dad get sick. Now your dad's got cancer. Now your mama's got Alzheimer's. Now you got constant care with your family. Now you've got to put them in assisted living. Now they're in nursing homes. Now they're in hospice care. And the relief you thought you were going to get when your children were raised, now you have to switch that attention to the people that loved you and brought you into this world. And about the time you get your parents where they're satisfied with life or maybe even comfortable, then they expire. Then mom and dad leave. Then you find out how wicked some of your siblings are because they could care less that they died. All they want to fight over is a used lawnmower, a warped skillet, and a wore-out quilt that won't bring $2 at a yard sale. So now the family fights. You got that to go through. So there's constant pressure. And if you don't watch people, and if you don't watch problems, and you don't watch pressure, not meaning to, it can suck all the joy of the Lord out of your life. God help us not to lose the wine of our heart. I must hurry. God help us not to lose the wine in our homes. You remember when Jesus turned the water to wine, he wasn't at the Sea of Galilee. He wasn't in the temple. He was at a wedding. Because God wanted us to know that through him, we can have joy, peace, rest, and comfort in our home. Do you know, the average home is a house with people coexisting without love, training, or any kind of testimony that God intended for them to be in that home. It takes a lot to keep a home going. I know, I've been married 47 years. It's not easy. There's constant adjustments you have to make. Better learning each other. You got to have respect and sex and understanding and affection and love and free time and honesty and support and trust and attraction and forgiveness and commitment and ambitions and appreciation. Those things are a necessity if you want to have a happy home. The most pleasant, happiest place in the world ought to be where you dwell with the people that you love most in this world. That's true in my life. That's true in yours. Now, women. I want to give you women the 3 biggest gripes that men have that makes them unhappy in their home. Then I'm going to tell you men 3 things that aggravate your wife to death, and she prays every day you would die as she looks at the insurance policy. Number 1, men want a clean house when they get home. Now, you must understand, ladies, we're not clean, but we want everything clean. See, men were made from dirt. We were made out of the dust of the earth. Don't laugh, it's in the Bible. We were made from the dust of the earth. We were made from dirt. You were made from a rib. So there's a DNA in us that we're not as clean as you are. But we want everything clean. Does that make sense? Now, you watch a man. He'll come in, he throws his work boots over here, throws his shirt over there, throwing over there, his pants, his underwear, his socks are over here. I mean, it looks like a tornado come through the house. And then he'll get up and say, this place is a mess. Yeah. It was okay till you got here. Or he comes home and you've never lived till you step barefooted on a Lego from some snotty-nosed kid that didn't pick up their toys. I'm telling you, I did the break dance before Michael Jackson ever thought of it. Get up in the middle of the night and step on a Lego. Hey! Now, men are not clean freaks unless they're OCD. They're not. But a man cannot stand to come home and have to step over everything just to get in the recliner. You know, I've seen people, they let their garbage can get full and then they stack it up against the wall like a pyramid. You know, what? Should somebody empty the freaking garbage? Is it that heavy? Then you have teenagers say, all I do is take out the garbage. Quit eating so much, fatso. You wouldn't fill it up so often. Men want a clean house. You say, I'm not going to do it. Well, fine. Fine. He will lose his desire to come home. When men walk in that house, they just want things in order. It don't have to be perfect, but at least ought to be in order. And quit making excuses when he complains about it. Well, I'm too busy. Why don't you clean it yourself? I got much going on. I work just like you do. Shut up. Here's what the Bible says. You are the keepers at home. The older women are to teach the younger women how to be keepers at home. You know what that means? You women ought to know how to sew a button on. You ought to know how to run a washing machine. You ought to know what a dryer is. Some of you teenage girls, you think a vacuum cleaner is a Martian from another world. You don't even know how to pull the string and plug it in and turn it on. And shame on you parents for letting them be that sorry. You need to teach them how to cook, how to take care. Don't raise a microwave mama. Put them in the kitchen. Give them the ingredients. Teach them how to cook like a lady. A man wants his house clean when he gets home. Number two, he wants his wife to stay attractive. Now, I don't know what's got in you, ladies. I don't know what's wrong with you. You're all sharp and painted up. Your hair's just right. Got enough makeup on to overhaul a 57 Chevy and Bondo and Botox and everything else. And I'm not against them. Oh, you got all that. And, man, you come out and you're all spruced up in cologne and deodorant and all this paraphernalia and jewelry hanging on you. And you get married. And he wakes up the next day and rolls over and says, oh, God, I've switched beds in the middle of the night. I'm with somebody else's wife. And you quit taking care of yourself. Do you understand that's one of the things that attracted the man to you? Men are attracted by what they see. Women are attracted by what they hear. So one of the things that drew your husband to you was the way you kept yourself. Now girls get married, it blows my mind. I never seen anything like it. It's like they comb and brush they have away. They throw it all away. They never do makeup again. They never make up their hair. They put it just on the top of their head. It's not even combed. Run around in their pajamas at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't shave their underarms. Looks like a gorilla going across the living room. And you want him to come home to that? A man took me to visit one day. He said, I got a family having a marital problem. I said, I ain't talking. I'm done. He said, I'll do all the talking. You just go with me. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we knocked on the door. Woman answered in her nightgown with a drawstring at the bottom of it. Her hair was straight down in her face, and she parted it and said, come in. I said, well, I'm glad I don't have to comment on this conversation. We got in and we sat down, and the preacher's talking to her, and finally the preacher that promised me I wouldn't have to say nothing looked at me and said, Brother Kidd, is there something you'd like to say? I said, oh, boy. She fell on the floor and said, I don't know why you don't want to come home. I said, get up. I can tell you why you don't want to come home. If my wife opened the door and looked like E.T., I'd find someplace else to go every night myself. Keep yourself looking neat. Keep yourself looking clean. It'll make you feel better about yourself. It'll make your husband more confident about you. And number three, when your husband comes, I'm going to run out of time, right? When your husband comes home, meet him with a kiss and not a list. Will you let the guy at least sit down and get his shoes off before you start rattling on? Because women talk more than men. 7 times more than men. 7 times! You ask me after church, how you doing, Brother Kidd? Fine. I'm fine. What else is there to say? I'm fine. Ask the woman how she's doing after church. You'll think she's speaking in tongues. She'll rattle off. She'll give you a history report, her health report. Some of you look like you're not coming back, but I'm going to clear this out while I'm here. Women talk. Ladies, let him relax. Have a nice, calm atmosphere when he comes into the home. Make him want to come home. And then later on, if there's things we need to discuss, I'm a businessman. I own 9 businesses. You don't think my wife and I don't have to talk every day about different things and decisions we have to make? Sure we do. But when I come in the house, she doesn't meet me with the honey-do list saying, you got to get this done before you go to bed tonight. It's usually a nice, hot, warm kiss. And for 47 years, that's kept me going home. But you got to look right. You can't greet him with a kiss smelling like a goat. Hair hanging out under your arm so long you can make braids out of it. You hadn't brushed your teeth. You got fungus hanging off your teeth. Who wants to kiss somebody's front yard? Clean up! Let me get to the men. Here's what the women want out of us. Women want us to be good listeners. A lot of time when a woman's communicating, you don't have to talk back a lot. If you... There's one family headed for divorce court, so... Men, every time your wife makes a statement, you don't have to counter the statement. If she just knows she has your ear, women are happy with that. But you men, you'll come in, flop down. What's for dinner, honey? Pick up the remote. No. She tries talking to you. Shh, I'm listening to this. Oh, dear Lord, football's on. Shut up. And you hold your remote a whole lot more than you hold your wife. Guy was in bed with his wife one night. He started feeling her neck, and she thought, wow. He rubbed down along the side of her arm. She said, he hadn't done that in a while. Finally, he rubbed up the back of her leg, and she said, I can't tell you the last time he done that. And then he just quit. She said, I can't believe you just quit. What's wrong? He said, I found the remote. All he was looking for was the remote. And there are times, even in the counseling world, and my wife and I did thousands of cases, that people would come in, I would do nothing but give them my undivided attention. I never said a word, and they would leave and say, that man helped me more than any psychologist I've ever been to in my life. And it wasn't because of what I said, it was because I was willing to listen. When is the last time you've put everything down and gave your wife your undivided attention? Number 2, a woman expects her husband to be strong, a leader, a problem solver. He is to give her security, protection, and loyalty. The sad part is the reason why a lot of women are having nervous breakdowns is because men are taking their responsibilities of the home and putting it on their wife. So she's not only got all her responsibilities, she's got half of his. Like I guarantee you, 50% of the men sitting in this church right now don't even know how to balance a checkbook. You don't even know where the checkbook's at. You have no idea where the money comes in and where it goes. You flop the check down, think you've done your part, and your wife has to make sure that everything's balanced, everything's paid, and there's enough money left over for groceries and electric and water. Oh, yeah. But a woman wants a man that'll come in and say, give me the checkbook. I need to go through everything, make sure we're going to be taken care of. You need to be a leader. You need to be loyal to them. Number 3, honesty and transparency. No husband and wife should have any secrets, any unknown codes, or any secret passwords. Why would my wife want a password that I wasn't allowed to get into? Why would that? Right then, I know something's not right with my relationship. There should never be any kind of nonsense like that. And all this chitting and chatting and chirping and all this that's going on the internet, and you women getting on and talking to these strange men, and you men going in chat rooms and meeting these strange women. Listen, this is happening every day. From preachers all the way down. Folks are getting sucked into this internet garbage, and they're communicating with people that they've never met in their life. And women are getting burnt. I had a woman in Mississippi last year. She ran off and left her husband and ran off with a guy that was a pilot in the military. The problem is the picture he sent her, he was a pilot in World War II. He's 83 years old. He's got one leg. He's got a catheter, keeps a diaper on, has diarrhea all the time, bald-headed as a frog, and now she left her husband. There should never be any kind of communications like that going on behind the back of your husband or your wife. I'm trying to tell you, we need to get God back in our homes. We've got to get God back in our homes, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get God back in our homes. This is the kind of home I want. We have a cleaning service that comes in and helps us with just some minor things in one of our rooms. And the individual that runs that cleaning service came to my wife months ago and said, I don't care if you ever pay me for coming. I don't need the money. I don't want the money. There's so much God in this house that I couldn't imagine not coming here and feeling the presence of God. That ought to be true in your house. That ought to be true in my house. Love each other. Be there for each other. Embrace each other. Do stuff that drew you to each other while you were dating. Hold hands. She ain't holding her hand. She's got arthritis. Hold her hand. Put Bengay on it. She's got arthritis. Put Bengay on it. Say good, hot, sexy things to her. You say she can't hear. Buy her a hearing aid. Learn sign language. How about that? Hey, baby, I still love you. Go out on dates. Enjoy each other. What drew you to him? What drew him to you? Those things should never stop in your relationship just because you got married. Those very things that started the relationship is the very thing that should continue till death do you part. Love each other while you have each other. You're going to have spats and disagreements, and you're going to see things different because women do not think like men. You do not have the capability. You say, I understand my husband. No, you don't. You don't have the ability to understand your husband. As a psychologist, if I put thought patterns on paper, women think like this. Men think like this. This is thought patterns. You notice they're total opposites. But if you take the back off of your watch, you'll notice you have the two big gears that are turning opposite. Now, all the little gears behind it that are going like this, that's the crazy kids we're trying to raise. They don't know what they are or where they're headed. They're just doing their thing. But even though they're turning in a different way, if they'll complement each other, then you have progress. Quit trying to make your husband think like a woman and quit trying to get your wife to think like a man. Learn to work together as a husband and wife, and then bring the children up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, and then you can have the joy and the power of God in your home. I love going home. I know I'm out of time, but we need it in the house of God as well. I don't ever want our church to become stagnant and cold and dead. I want us to be fervent. I want us to worship Him and be public about it. I want to close with saying this, and thank you for giving me a little extra time. I want to tell you three things about this story. Number one, there was wine at one time. They started off with it. Number two, it's possible as a Christian to let it run out of your life. They had none. But number three, if you will admit it and do what you can to get it back in your life, God can save the best for last. All they had was stone pots and water. That's all they could do. If you will do all you can do, God will do the supernatural and do the rest and bring that joy, peace, happiness, and comfort back in your life again. Do you believe that? Give the Lord a hand if you believe that today.